Here's how I plan to dominate 2023. Happy belated New Year to everyone. We're officially past 2022, which was a very interesting year to say the least, and it was definitely a momentous one in my life. We had a lot of big changes. We moved from Chicago down to Houston. That was a major change. We've never lived out of state before, and we're still very much adjusting to that. We bought and rehabbed a house, which makes it our fourth property within the portfolio. We're not planning on moving out of it anytime soon, but it is in the portfolio nonetheless. Meanwhile, my wife Emily Ann started her job as an audiologist down here in Houston, and then I was able to switch offices at my law firm, and I'm now dual licensed in both Illinois and Texas as an attorney. So all is going pretty well on the career front. And at the very end of 2022, I went under contract on a small business in Houston, and as of the release of this video, I might have already closed on that business, but either way, it's a very new development in our financial lives. So with that bit of context in mind, how do I plan to dominate 2023? Number one, I want to pay off $200,000 or more in debt. As of right now, my debt ratio, which is liabilities divided by assets, is 93%, so I am very leveraged. I have around $1.3 million in assets
on paper
and about $1.2 million in liabilities. So $200,000 in paid off debt would make a material difference in our debt balance. It would give us a bit more breathing room if things got a bit hairy. How am I going to get the $200,000 to pay off the debt? Well, it's going to be a combination of salary as well as the business income from the business that we're buying. I'm planning on having the vast majority of our disposable income going towards debt. I'm only going to deviate away from that if we have a really great opportunity or if something happens to our cash flow position where it makes sense to hunker down. But I really want to focus on consolidating our position because we have a good amount of assets relative to what our lifestyle is. So if we could get a bigger dent in that debt pile, we'll be in a better position for the long run. And that's because we'll be less vulnerable in the short term. If there's some bad market event or if something happens with the business that's not so good, then we should have a bit more room for error once some of that debt is cleared. Because you can't get to the long term unless you make it through the short term first. So that's the first goal, clearing $200,000 in debt. My second goal for 2023 is to reach over $250,000 in annualized business and investment income. Now, some months ago, I did post a video saying it was my goal to reach $500,000 in annualized business income by the end of 2023. And I still have this goal in mind. I'm going to try to make it happen, but I don't want to over leverage myself in the process. And I fear that that's probably what I'm going to have to do, barring some serious business savvy, which I'm not quite sure I have yet. But after looking at so many businesses over the past 5 or 6 months or so, I'm pretty confident I can reach a $250,000 mark by the end of 2023. And that probably implies that I'd have to do at least one other acquisition by the end of 2023 for another business with a bunch of cash flow. But it also implies that I'm probably going to have to grow the existing business that I'm buying to a pretty significant level above where it's currently at. If and when I close on this business, assuming I haven't already by the time this video releases, I should already be over a quarter of the way there, just taking into account the historical cash flows of this business that I'm buying. And that's just if I maintain the status quo. If I grow the cash flows from there, this will make achieving this goal a lot easier. So I guess you could say I have a vague goal of reaching $500,000 in cash flow, but my really concrete goal is $250,000 because I think I have a pretty clear path to that. At least it's a bit clearer than the $500,000 mark. And if we're able to reach 250 grand in cash flow, that'll really accelerate the debt pay down that we can do as well, or reinvesting into more businesses or the existing businesses that we would own. Cash flow is king. So that's goal number 2, reaching $250,000 in annualized business cash flow. And my third goal for 2023 is to make sure I hit my billable hours requirements for my job. I work for a big law firm in Houston, the same firm that I worked with when I was in Chicago, and big law firms have big hour requirements where you have to bill a certain number of hours every year. It's usually right around 2,000. That is also the case for me. And not only would that imply that I'd be becoming a better attorney just by working the hours, but I'd also be making myself less expendable at my job if things were to get really rough in the real estate market, since I am a real estate attorney. No one income source is 100% safe, and that's why I'm spending a lot of time to build multiple income sources. And the salary from the job will be really helpful for paying down debt in the meantime. It's my biggest income source by quite a bit, and even though it does take a lot of time, it is a really good trade-off given my current situation. So I don't want to forget about those hour requirements. And that's why it's my third goal. But if I'm able to achieve at least those 3 things, I'll be in a really solid position by the time we get through the end of 2023, barring something crazy happening, which could always happen. At the end, we would have very much improved our cash flow position and we would have deleveraged quite a bit. And that'd be pretty hard to complain about. Of course, there are other things to focus on for 2023, but those are the 3 biggest things that I'm looking at as I attempt to dominate 2023. And I'll be documenting it on the channel as we go along. So be sure to subscribe, and until next time, take care.